I know Neo is dying to ask you something,
I've
but
got a lot of questions.
yes, before she does, I just want to just step back a little bit there. You've mentioned an important factor, skills.
Yes.
When you execute a project. Now, I'm going to give you a scenario, and I need you to answer now as a manager.
Yes.
I'm a parent at your school, and I've got a plumbing business.
Yes.
And now the school wants to do something with the school plumbing. And I'm in the HDB, by the way. And I'm saying to you as a principal, I am bringing in my company, and I want my company to do with the plumbing in the school. Now, please respond as a manager. What are you going to say to me in that meeting?
You cannot lead something that you do not understand. By the way, I am a very keen fan of instructional leadership. One scholar says, if you are an instructional leader, seek to understand before you are understood. So which means if you don't understand, don't step up and lead, because you will mislead people. I have beautiful teachers who understand why language is important. And when I entered my learners to this program, one child shocked me. He wrote, anxiety. Living with anxiety is like being followed by a voice. It knows all insecurities and uses them against you.
Good day. Welcome to Principal's Desk. My name is Emmanuel Ramathavha. I'm the host, and I'm not alone. I've got my co-host, that is Mr. Medupe, who we are sharing this together, and I've got the lady behind the mic, or we cannot say behind the scene, but behind the mic. That is Mpele, who is actually, time and again she will chip in. And today we are blessed to have Mr. Tlhabane, who is going to share with us some insight insofar as education leadership is concerned. I must say that Tlhabane is a school leader under the district of Johannesburg Center. He has been a school leader for 10 years. And he's also in the South African Principals Association, that is the Gauteng edition. Welcome, Tatan. Maybe I would like to just first check with you insofar as your journey is concerned. Can you just briefly tell us about your background, your journey as an education leader, and how did you become a principal? And the beliefs and the values that guide your approach in leadership. We are saying this because we here at Principal Desk, we believe we have got to again make education a societal priority, and the best way of doing that is just to hear from education leaders. So just share with us the journey and your belief as such. Over to you, Shay.
Thank you so much. I think this is a groundbreaking experience. For me, I feel very honored. And sometimes principals don't have time to vent and say stuff that blow people's mind. But I think this blew my mind because my journey started at a background where I was very exposed to, teaching and learning. And I remember growing up in a place where we would be going to a Sunday school with very experienced teachers. And they would teach us. One thing they said, as a human being, it is about becoming. And every day you need to become, human becoming. So I think at that time I captured lifelong learning and continually wanting to become. Completed matric, went to the university wanting to do clinical psychology. But it didn't work out. Financially, I had to reroute and take another direction. And eventually, I became a teacher. Now, in the search for who I am, I realized that as a teacher, I could make an impact and help in terms of community projects and stuff like that. So I was very impressed when I found a way to be doing leadership and management. And I went up the ladder from being a normal PL1 teacher, PL2, PL3, and a principal. And when I became a principal, there were so many issues that I was dealing with personally. I asked myself, am I coming here to be a principal to warm the office, or to impact in the policies and other programs of the department? So I found a beautiful space where I was able to articulate issues of policies and also to guide others. So I think I became a principal not only because it is good to be, but I want to see change and transformation that is meaningful, because I am very much informed in terms of policy, and also I feel the transitioning from all levels needs somebody who will work with others. So I'm very positive about the space of development. And in a nutshell, that's how my journey became. And it was a journey of wanting to get knowledge that will drive change even in our communities. I refer to myself as a community builder.
Wow,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Very much interesting. Thank you, Mr. Tlhabane, for sharing that with us. From what you've just told us, I can see that you're a true leader and you're a visionary. Please just share with us, what is it that you are currently practicing, or what do you do on day to day to ensure that everybody around your school community understands your vision? How do you ensure that your vision is carried out?
Thank you so much. As I alluded to the issue of development, a school is a center of learning, but then a school must impact on what the community believes in. So if you have a school that is isolated from what the community believes in, you have lost it. So my way of doing it is to create a platform where the partners in our education space, your SGB, the learners, and other formation are involved in shaping up what we call community-driven programs. We have various programs, but these emanate from what we call whole school evaluation or whole school improvement. So in terms of whole school improvement, we keep it very simple. We identify priorities of the community. The communities that I serve mostly would be involved in sports, and you need to look at other areas of infrastructural development. What are the needs? So we do whole school improvement addressing the needs of the community. So once you identify what the community is interested, then they get together and be part of this kind of a drive. And one project that I have now, which is very close to my heart, is reviving school sport. And you find that there are so many sporting guys within the community, and I won't mention a lot of names in that particular sense, but there are people who are waiting to hear what are the schools doing in sports. And they are even able to sponsor programs like swimming and also athletics. So we have such. I deal with clubs that provide sporting codes. And in the school that I am, I also promote all various sporting codes, because I believe children are gifted differently. So we need to nurture this kind of sports and introduce learners so that it also builds discipline. A child who is involved in discipline in sports, they tend to improve even in academic issues. So I have more parents who participate in our school programs. I remember we also run a program annually. It's called Fun Walk. Now, our Fun Walk program, it is intended to to include all members of the community, those who've got businesses. So we set up stalls, and then these people come in. Somebody there deals with sport, and on that day, they have a stall for sports. Someone has a stall for food. Someone has stalls for other areas. Like we included the nurses, so they'll be checking high blood and all those things. So in that day, the main theme, we would call it a walk for a cause. So we have a school. It's also for destitute children, and then we actually raising funds to support those programs. So as we are supporting that, the companies are sponsoring towards the running of that center. So we doing this program because we feel the school must address the needs of the community, and we're becoming relevant.
Yes.
So these are some of the things that I feel as we plan and move along, we prioritize, we look at the needs and address the needs. And at the end of the day, the school as a center of learning, we learn new things and we grow with it. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I'm listening to what you're saying in terms of identifying the community needs and planning towards that. I'm just curious about the procedures that you follow in doing so. Would you kindly elaborate to us where does it all start? Where you would be engaging the staff members, the learners, the SGB, your parents, and the community. How does it unfold? Where would you start as a school leader?
Yeah, it's a good thing to ask, because processes that involve whole school improvement, it means everyone must buy into that vision. So as a leader, I need to sell my vision. I must believe in it. So that vision is easily articulated when everyone take part in the needs analysis. So this is how we run needs analysis. We do needs analysis. The SGB, and I'm talking this year, is we just had elections for SGB. So the SGB will then have a meeting called strategic planning. And so in the strategic planning, the SGB will then get buy-in from management in terms of programs that the school is running, so that we look at what the school is planning to do in terms of academics and stuff like that. So the SGB brings in a strategy to run for the next 3 years. And this program is called School Development Plan. So the School Development Plan will set out all the issues to be done based on the 9 focus areas of an effective school. And I'm glad I'm going to educate you a little bit here.
Yeah.
So
We are ready. I'll drink to that.
So, if you want your school to run like a well-oiled machine, you need to focus on the 9 areas. There you never go wrong. The basic functionality, that's where the policies and all the day-to-day running of the school are. It's embedded on the premise that we need to have policy and procedures in place. And number 2, governance and relationship. Very important when you do school development plan. You zoom into these areas. Governance and relationship. Under governance, you are saying each school run through constitution and policies. Hence, governance is very important to set the strategic position of the school and where the school is going. But if you look at it, it speaks about governance and relationship. We need to bridge this gap of the outside world and the school. This governance must speak to what is happening in the community. Open up, build relation, form partnership. So that kind of partnership is very important for improving school. And as we develop the plan, and we move to what we call quality teaching, learning, and educator development. So once you have set up that, quality teaching and learning and educator development falls into place, because it is well supported by governance and also by NGOs around the school. Because if you need something, I tell you, there are lots of companies waiting to hear what plan does the school need to implement over that year. And there's one area which is very critical for us as principal: leadership, management, and communication. And I think when we are planning, leadership, as I said, it speaks to the vision that we have as principal. But then management plays a very important role. Not everyone can be a manager and a leader, unfortunately, but management will speak to the planning part, which is very critical. The organizing, and this is where organizing takes precedence, because when you are able to pull in important areas of the school, like your staffing, your resources and everything, that organizing is very important, and you need to be able to control that. There's another area which is called learner achievement. Learner achievement means going beyond what you look at learner performance. You want to see your learners excelling in your mathematics, your languages, and stuff like that. So bringing in expanded opportunities to these learners, it helps a lot. So learner achievement, very key. And you look at your curriculum provisioning and resources. You look at the issue of infrastructure. Then you look at parents and community. So these are areas that you put into the school development plan. However, as you asked the question, I think you were interested in how do we mobilize everyone. Once the SGB has sat down and put this structure, we know that these come from the needs analysis as looked at by the teachers, the general assistants, the admin, and everyone. So they bring this. The SGB then prioritize. The prioritization is very important because remember they work for 3 years. So in that 3 years, it's very important to prioritize and say projects that need to be done in year 1 and all activities. So everything should be done according to the needs that were established. So very important in a global perspective, we talk about SWOT analysis. So as a school, before we implement anything, we then look at ourselves and say, what are our strengths, our weaknesses, our threats and opportunities? And these things help us to then say, how do we then build moving forward? Remember, this is about building commitment and making sure that we sustain standards. So if your strengths are there, you need to sustain standards based on the needs. So moving from that, then you will develop what we call SIP. You break that SDP into 3 years. So that 3 year will mean you're breaking the plan into annual so that it is implementable based on the budget. So this is how it is done in a school situation. Yeah.
Wow. You have said a mouthful. And I must say that I've been schooled. Be that as it may, any and every plan from school development plan and your school improvement plan, there will be challenges. In your experience, what are some of the challenges, the biggest challenges that you would have faced in an effort to improve school? And it's like you have drafted it, there is the document, there's your SIP. What are some of the challenges? And by so doing, at least you will help some of us out there who are facing the same challenges. You have drafted the document, it is there. How do we ensure that this document become something that is on the ground? Learners' experience. What are those challenges?
Yeah, very interesting. Remember, a plan become a working document if it is actually, it must be, they normally say people are the one who actually initiate programs. So you can put a paper there, nicely done, but the paper must come alive when people action it.
Yes.
So I think that program must be broken down into action plans. So most people, they draw it, school development plan, school improvement plan, shelve it, and they don't break it down into action plan. Yes. Action plan then will seek for very important issues in terms of time factor. You need to be aware of when is this program starting, when is it ending, and then checks and balances. And people that are actually delegated to do that must be empowered. So the challenges that are faced with why the SIP are not implemented is that we don't have human resource, we don't have skills. So you need to check. People who are supposed to implement certain programs must have skills. Let me give you an example where I seen a challenge in my time. We needed to do a borehole so that we are able to save money that we're paying to the municipality. And yeah, we're paying quite a lot in schools. Yeah, I think it's clear. So because we're paying quite a lot, we said, okay, we want to implement a borehole. Let's then start this. So if you don't have proper skills to know what happens when you install a borehole, as a principal, you need to know to have certain skills to be able to check. Because people can provide something that is substandard and you won't know. So you have to learn very fast. And also project steps. Make sure that the steps are aligned to timeline. Don't just say we'll wait to hear from this person. It will never happen. Yes. So it's very important to know the steps that follows. First, you drill. Second, you install pumps, you install that and that. And you need to understand so that you know the milestones of the project. And reporting must be done at a certain stage. You mustn't leave it to a chance. Because if you leave it, then they will also leave it, but they'll be claiming. So it's very important to follow up. That is another thing. And I spoke about skills. If you're working with SGB, for an example, check people who have certain skills. Those who are going to do such things like maintenance or anything around infrastructure development. Related skills. It mustn't be my brother is coming in, he'll be this. No. Look at the skills. If the skills are not there, through your audit, you will know what to do. You'll then develop people. So I think some of the challenges that we have is we are unable to identify skills and nurture it. Because once you find those skills, then take people to programs they must develop. I can say quite a lot, but what makes, again, our SIP not to be effective is that we are planning things that are impossible. So you find people budgeting. Okay, you have a budget. It speaks to figures. All of a sudden, your plan is bigger than the budget. You already set yourself for a failure. Yes. So when we implement a SIP, we must look at our budget, our muscle around how can we definitely achieve our goals at the end of that. So I think to mention just a few, we need proper planning, proper organization. We must do leading within the program. Yes. You must do checks and balances. And you must control. Don't allow people, because they saw $1 million in your account, now they want to buy a Mini Cooper. It won't help. It won't. So let's not deviate, no matter how excited we are, because then it will affect our SIP. So we stick to it. Yeah. Wow. I think that's a few things I can put around.
I know Neo is dying to ask you something, but
got a lot of questions.
Before she does, I just want to just step back a little bit there. You've mentioned an important factor, skills.
Yes.
When you execute a project. Now, I'm going to give you a scenario, and I need you to answer now as a manager.
Yeah.
I'm a parent at your school, and I've got a plumbing business.
Yes.
And now the school wants to do something with the school plumbing. And I'm in the HDB, by the way. And I'm saying to you as a principal, I am bringing in my company, and I want my company to deal with the plumbing in the school. Now, please respond as a manager. What are you going to say to me in that meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, look. I have experienced something like that, but in a different setup. The policy states clearly that anyone who is in the SGB or maybe SMT or the school who is connected to that cannot tender for anything like that. Look, we could allow you to do it for free. If you want to offer your services and say,
For free.
I'm helping my child's school, welcome.
Yes.
But once there is financial implication and benefit of a kind, you cannot. So I will then quote it from SASSA. You're not allowed.
Yes.
You cannot do it. And the most important part is that when our governors are introduced, they need to be given this knowledge about what SASSA say and policy around the school procurement and everything. We also include it in our introduction of our SGB to say, you cannot do this.
Yes.
Because it leads to conflicts of interest and stuff like that. We also sign what we call declaring.
Yes.
Yeah, declaration, you must sign that. And you cannot be seen as being a referee and a player. And I'm wondering, if you're an SGB, it means you are the steward for that program. So how do you play and be a referee at the same time? So we do not allow such action according to policy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Can I just go back? You mentioned a couple of things that I was very interested in, and I saw you were in the mood, like I didn't want to stop. Can I go back to the whole situation about extramural activities?
Yes.
Right? It's very important because teachers would understand that learners learn differently. We're not all strong in curricular things or learning things. Extramural activities like sporting codes or things like that. Some children are strong in that. How do you get your teachers to still show as much interest with sporting codes as much as they are in the classroom? Because at times you would find teachers complaining about, oh, we've got so much admin. Oh, we've been spending the whole day at school, we are tired. Sports, not that important. So how do you get them to show as much excitement in that as well?
Thank you so much for that, because it's always a struggle for us as school leaders. Remember, policy would say teachers have the 7-hour contact, but there is also the 80 hours, which is not always explained in terms of the work that we should put work even outside our normal 7 hours. Because when we sign up, we sign for that extra. I think it's 80 hours a year if I'm for correction. So with that in mind, when you start planning, we advise, and I always advise my staff, let's plan in advance, because when you plan, you have the year-long planner. So the year-long planner will show all activities for curriculum, for sporting, and any outreach. We also do outreach. I've explained about another school, I won't mention the name, that we are working with. It's more like outreach. So all this outreach also include extra hours that we spend supporting learners who are in need. So this is how I do it with my management. We design extramural program. So this extramural program, we identify certain days, like every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, between 2:15 and 3:15. So at that point, It means when the normal classes starts from 8 until 2 o'clock, there's that 15 minutes gap for children to change over, and teachers are running various extramural. For us, extramural is not sport only. Extramural means we also have classes that are run. Especially, I'll give an example. Learners who have challenges in Afrikaans or English or mathematics. It's part of our extramural. So there is a specialized teacher who will then take a group of learners that have been identified as needy, or rather learners with certain barriers to understanding mathematical concepts. So we run it as extramural, but that would be planned for maybe Tuesday, for an example. And then alongside that, learners who are not challenged there, they are doing other extramural in terms of sports or in terms of art and culture. So we run it with that timetable. So every term, when a teacher or an admin person or a general assistant come to our school, they are given that program as part of our school plan. So we motivate. Number two, I have embraced the issue of looking at life skill as a component of training educators to then do various sporting code. So when we look at a life skill, we train teachers to be able to impart this. We send them to workshop. I get sponsors, I get money from SGB to send our teachers for coaching lessons. So they do it. I also have what we call roadshows that we attend, where they do, maybe I'll give an example, a team from Brazil or a team from, I know we have some that come from Portugal, and also they do training in the country. So you must know those trends. Send your teachers there. Then they get these free skills and stuff like that. We also have what we call specialized coaches. So I know someone will say, but we don't have money. It's not about we don't have money. If you need a soccer coach, you can get a sponsor towards that, and you get this person appointed through SGB. And in that way, that teacher who's teaching soccer and physical education will then also train your teachers to build confidence. And that's what we do. So they also find a way to mentor others into those sporting code. Remember, teachers are not specialized in all these sporting code. As much as we wish that they can be specialists, we also think of getting support for them. So I support them a lot, and I'm very passionate about sport.
I like how you're saying that, because I mean, for leaders at times, if you want, empower your people, you need to give them support.
Yes.
And if you want them to participate, if you want to get buy-in from them, you need to be there every step of the way.
Correct, yeah.
And I think the two principals would also agree there's a trend, or within the previous episodes that we've done, very important, that's come about buy-in, that's come about communication, teaching of stakeholders, because the more people know, the more they will support you.
Yes.
So I'm really, really enjoying these particular episodes. So talking about that, teacher development is very important, right? And I feel like at times, companies, I'm going to just include corporate as well as schools, we sometimes send people for training just to tick boxes. It's a tick box exercise. And it's not necessarily like that, because the human element has, a couple of things. How would you then identify, professional developmental needs within your organization or within your school?
Yeah, I think that is a good stepping stone into what the school really need. So analyzing it from the perspective of your personnel, and also generally in terms of wanting to tap to the real interest of your educators, because you don't want to allocate somebody to something that they have no idea, they don't even have a passion for. You then first, when I look at the qualifications, qualifications speak a lot, but beyond that, my teachers, all of them, I asked them to give me their profiles. And I remember when I asked for a profile, they were like, what do you want to do? So once you have that profile, it is a platform to find out what they have as a background knowledge around your schooling activities and also their expertise. And then I use that. I look at, okay, if this person did B.Ed in inclusive education, it means they have interest in learner support. They may not be skillful in that. So I look at somebody who did mathematics education to a degree level, then I would say, it means this person will have interest when we run competitions that are derived from Olympiads and stuff like that. So that's how I interact with their profiles. I always ask them to update those profiles. That is first thing. That's how I identify. If I see that Mr. Medupe, for an example, is a mathematics teacher, but he does not have experience in certain areas based on that profile, I then, I don't force him into, I have a one-on-one with him to talk about maths. By the way, I used to teach math. Mathematics has a way of unfolding into various activities within the school. So I'm very passionate about maths. That's why I'm quoting much on that. Now, the second level, you identify skills when you involve people. So there are teachers who come in and sit, morning, afternoon is done. So involve people. When you involve them, you will find that they draw interest in things that you never thought. So exposure. For me, I expose teachers. For an example, we have Wednesdays that we run wellness program. I just come to you and say, can you prepare something small just to motivate? You will see, out of that will build a public speaker. And that way, when we expose them, they do much. Now, what are the other programs that we use to identify gaps and skills shortages and stuff like that? It's a process called QMS. QMS, Quality Management Systems. Now, the system itself has got what we call criteria and performance measurement, the performance standards. So these standards will then gauge a teacher in terms of those areas they sign up for in the PEM document. So when you sign, you know I am a teacher, I'm assisting, I'm involved in extracurricular, you know, communication, you know, collaboration with stakeholders. Those areas, they are then distributed into our performance standard. Then when you are using QMS, you then pick up gaps when you are visiting this teacher or interacting. So those gaps are then compiled into what we call SIP. SIP, in this particular sense, coming from the academic side of things. Remember, this SIP, it's also feeding into the main school SIP under what? Either quality of learning and teaching or either curriculum resources. So this SIP particularly seeks to address our evaluation. So when we do QMS, it's mainly because we need to evaluate our educators in terms of which skills they are doing well and which skills they are not doing well. And for your general assistants and admin, there's what we call PMDS. it also seeks to find those gaps. So remember, we speak both sides. So it comes in handy because this speaks to various level of evaluation. We evaluate them in terms of what they've signed up for, their job description. So we use evaluation processes, and out of the evaluation processes, then we are able to lay out the need for development. Then we start calling out people like yourself to come and develop our people, or even myself as a leader, I can run a certain workshop based on those needs analysis.
Wow.
I'm glad you said that. I'm smiling from I'm so excited.
There you have. So you've got SDP, SIP, PMDS. So those are the acronyms that are very important in the education sector. We need to, be well versed in that so that we can run our schools in ways that develop our learners and in turn develop our community. So something whilst Mr. Tlhabane was sharing that popped in my mind. So he seemed like a walking encyclopedia. So one would just sit and listen to him. And I'm just wondering. I'm a school leader. He's very much versed, and it's like he's also very versed with current trends that are happening in the education space. I would like to ask two questions then to say that how important is it to say as a leader you have got to be clued up with what is happening now, and how do you as a leader keep up to date with trends? I sort of know where you will go, but I just want you to tell me so that I can just hear it from yourself to say this is how I keep up to date, and this is why, how important it is as a leader to be, to keep up to date with trends in education.
Leadership is an evolving activity, but it needs a lot of consciousness to things around you. Why do we as leaders need to keep abreast with new development, educational reforms, and things around us? I feel we are seen as initiators of learning. If you are left behind as a leader, you cannot lead something that you do not understand. By the way, I am a very keen fan of instructional leadership. One scholar says, if you are an instructional leader, seek to understand before you are understood. So which means if you don't understand, don't step up and lead, because you will mislead people. So I think the breaking point here is I always draw interest into what is happening around the country, because I feel there's always a change, in your ICT space, technology space. What you know today may not help you tomorrow. So you wake up tomorrow, it's something else. Our curriculum as well, although it has been changed many times, and there are traces of look-alike in many instances, but those modifications must be well articulated. If you don't understand, for an example, how caps became, it means you won't know what was modified from the previous, and you will mislead people. So I think such an instance needs somebody who's vigilant, somebody who is studying all the time. I read a lot. I love reading. Especially in my space of educational management and leadership, I read a lot. And I always tell people that if you haven't read a book called Organisational Behaviour, you can't lead.
I can agree with that.
And I said, I will write a book called human behavior, because as a leader, you're managing people
Yes.
who've got their own perspective
Yes.
to life,
Yes.
to different views. So if you come without anything here, then you won't be able to influence people to the right direction. So you need to read every day. Don't go to sleep without reading something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Don't go to sleep without reading something.
Wow.
Yeah. And one day I was sitting with one of our colleagues, and this is a joke, but it happened. And I said, he said,
You can guess the principal, so the
Yes.
joke comes with a disclaimer. So it's a joke.
I said, there could be another meaning for up. You know, UP,
Yes.
up. So I said, let's Google it. And we began Googling it. So in the way, there's nothing that must come to me and doesn't click something. It's anything that comes says research.
Yes.
I'm almost becoming a Google engine. So I love Googling.
Yes.
I love AI.
Yes.
I love all these trends, because for me, to not understand when we are surrounded with such knowledge, it is a bad start for a leader. So I study a lot, I read a lot, and I also participate in professional organization. Like it was alluded to, South African principles. So I participate in those programs. I go to conferences. I also attend AMISA. I'm not teaching mathematics currently, but I still attend Association for Mathematics Education of South Africa. I will sit in a conference the whole week to understand the new trends. So when I go and check a teacher who's teaching mathematics, I'll go to you and say, you are not teaching board maths well, because I'm informed.
Yes.
So I always check all these trends. And I'll be attending conferences, come and school my SMT, develop them. I send them a lot to conferences, but I think I must take a stand when it comes to development. So I am very much exposed to seminars that speak to our practice as leaders. And I do a lot of PLCs. You know, with PLC, we share quite a lot. So that's where we develop. And I never stop studying. I wish to stop or maybe continue, or rather stop when I'm a professor.
Yes. I can. You sound like a, should I say, walking encyclopedia for those people who are not in the space, because there's so much that you have mentioned that is critical, and you sound like a very busy school leader, and yet your school is still running effectively.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard of any scenarios where you were off balance, where you were hospitalized because of stress and challenges. You still have time to do everything. You know, school leadership on its own has a lot of work, administrative-wise. But over and above, you're still able to develop yourself as a school leader. Please share with us, what is it that you say and do with your colleagues to ensure that everything is balanced? In other words, you'll still be able to attend all the conferences, still be an administrator, a school leader, be a family man, I suppose, and still, do stuff out of the education space. How do you balance everything in totality? How do you get it right?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think your questions speak to our ethos, the issue of culture, and also based on my aspirations as a leader. And I think the culture that we've developed is that whoever is appointed, if they are well groomed into the position and they are inducted, they are able to close those gaps. I do a lot of delegation. So when I delegate, remember I told you about the skills audit. I do a lot of skills audit. So I have my deputies and my departmental head. So delegation would mean from the onset, when I give you a task, I give you a framework that I believe it's a winning framework. Do not delegate and leave somebody in the jungle.
Absolutely.
I don't believe in leaving somebody in the jungle. You see how an eagle teach its young ones. It will fly with the young one, goes to the sky,
Yes.
and it goes back, flies. When it comes down for the last time, it's a warning.
Yes.
It goes like, whoosh. As soon as it goes up there, it drops the little one. The little one will go down, I'm sure it's screaming its heart out. But as soon as it's about to land,
Yes.
it grabs it. So that's how a leader does. When you start, train your person, knowing that they'll be conscious. But why are you grabbing them before they hit the ground? It's because never let go of teaching.
Absolutely.
I keep teaching my people. So until a point where I feel they are independent enough to take decisions, even when I'm not there.
Yes.
So I know, even if I'm not at school, I can assume when an incident like this happens, they will take this decision
Yes.
because I've given them a frame.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Give a framework.
Wow.
So people don't run wild when they've got a framework. But remember, a framework is not a prescription. A framework is work within this, but have autonomy. I also allow them to be initiative,
Yes.
to work within their own mind. But remember, every road has got a barrier line.
Absolutely.
If you don't put barrier line, you will find another school when you come back.
Yeah.
So as a leader, I'm checking the barrier line. I leave you work around the corners. You meander and do all these barrier lines.
Yeah.
It's a fine of 1.5.
Yes.
So that's how I delegate a lot.
Wow.
Thank you.
And when you delegate, do not do something for somebody. Allow them to tell you what they're going to do.
Yes.
So if you come to me and say, sir, a child is injured, God forbid, I ask you, what did you do? What do you think we should do?
Yes.
I don't jump and say, let's run, let's call an ambulance. What did you do? What do you think should be done? I'm empowering you because I'm there, just like an eagle, which will catch you. If you fumble, I'm there to catch you. So that's how I lead. So I'm comfortable to be at conferences, and sometimes my phone is off because I feel when you have leaders that work with you, they almost become like you because
Yes.
they feed from the same vision. Unless if you didn't sell your vision. Once you sell your vision well enough, you know these people know where we are going. And they will even know how to respond to situations.
Wow, wow, wow. That's brilliant. And I'm sitting here and say, Joe, I wish I can ask more questions.
Yes.
But you have just, dismantled everything that I wanted to know. And, from such people as, you are yourself, one would like to really ask to say, the day that you ring the bell and say, Mr. Tlhabane is no longer in this school. Maybe you're going to assume a position somewhere, or you are retiring. Maybe just share with us maybe three things that you want to be remembered with in your school. To say when they come to your school, they will say, yes, this is what Mr. Tlhabane stood for. And they almost like become a signature in that school as such. What will those be? I said three, maybe you've got more than three. Just share with us so that at least one can also look at that and be inspired. Yes.
Yeah, it's an emotional thing for me because I live by certain beliefs and the values. I believe that as a leader, you become a parent, you become everything to your staff and the community. And I have always remembered when you deal with an issue of a child who comes to a classroom and they did not eat, you can see that because you now become part of that child. My legacy will speak life if I see compassion still continuing in our schooling system. People are not compassionate anymore. People are not generous anymore. And I believe my way of thinking at the values that we should carry as leaders, don't think of your own, because when you educate, you must understand that these children are coming from different backgrounds. You may be in a place where you feel they are all fortunate, but deep down we know that not all children are the same. They come there with challenges. They come there with things that may stop them from progressing, even if they are rich. But you need to tap to an area where you understand that these children that we have today, they are challenged by various societal issues. So my legacy is to say, I want to see every learner that passes through my hand becoming themselves and not losing on the way to self-discovery. And I get excited when I see learners playing, because I say through play, these children will find their calling for life. And beyond that, I'm not merely interested in just performance. By the way, the school is performing where I am. And I have no doubt that performance is the indicator. But beyond that, did I as a leader discover the truth around this performance? Because what is important for a leader is to analyze. As a leader, I want to be remembered as somebody who takes cognizance of what data means. Leaders without data, they are not well informed. So I particularly look at the information that I get. And in that way, I feel if we become data-driven leaders, we will be answers to our community, because with data, you get answers. With data, you are able then to make new amends. You know, change management is very important. You said I can mention just a few, but I feel I want to be remembered as somebody who have tapped into human behavior and who understand that with colleagues, you don't just judge them until you sit and fit in their shoes.
Yes. Wow, wow, wow.
I want to understand why this behavior. Remember that teacher, that child who is unable to keep to a certain procedure, failure to follow a certain procedure. I think let's understand who they are. I feel I want to be remembered as somebody who goes down and collect papers with the learners. If I move around the school and I see paper, I duck it. Then I'm writing a wrong book. I want to be part of the community. I want to be remembered as Mr. Tlhabane was here to listen to us, because through listening, then you learn. So I want to be remembered as somebody who is able to help learners move to a certain level, whether you're getting glory or not. I want to be remembered for somebody who has motivated a certain change in the learning of language. I brought a book here.
Wow.
And this book is for South African Council for English Education. This is oral competition. I entered my children. I have beautiful teachers who understand why language is important. And when I entered my learners to this program, one child shocked me. He wrote, anxiety. Living with anxiety is like being followed by a voice. It knows all insecurities and uses them against you. It gets to a point where when anxiety is the loudest voice in the room. Anxiety is the voice repeatedly making you feel like a failure. It creates unnecessary fears and problems. Then depression takes over.
Sure.
Depression is not sadness. With sadness you cry.
Sure.
You feel. But depression is when you are stuck in a storm. A raging storm in your head. No one understands. It never goes away. It is so exhausting. Now leaders, deal with children who go through this.
Sure.
These are realities. I want to be remembered as somebody who tapped into the spirit of a child, who tapped into the emotional feeling, the feeling that the child has. And I want to be remembered as somebody who will sit and listen to the child and hear their laughter because they found a place in the school. That's what I want.
Just wanna
That one.
Wow.
Before we close, I really need to make a comment, right? I have a couple of comments. What you just said now, I know sitting in interviews, specifically when I'm interviewing teachers, we would ask why they went into teaching. First thing they run to is passion, and I always say to them, disclaimer, don't tell me that you are passionate. Show me what that passion looks like. And today, I am close to tears because I can see it.
Yes.
I can really see it. You can feel it. I mean, you just grasped the whole aspect of being a leader, of being an educator, because you tap on all of those things. One thing that I usually say is that dealing with a human element or with a human being is difficult. Dealing with a computer doesn't argue back. It doesn't give you complexities.
Yes.
You can fight with it until you get a solution. But dealing with a human being is difficult. And at that time, as a leader, you need to tap into making sure that the person is comfortable. You are teaching at the same time. And I always say, play devil's advocate. I liked a couple of things that you also mentioned, dealing with a leader. We spoke about teacher development, how the process that you follow, which is the correct process. We don't use it as a tick box exercise. I went through a couple of things to guide me to a training that you need to make you competent in a specific thing, which ties back to our strategy, right? One-on-one sessions. People do not understand the importance of just having time with your people. Just have a sit. Let's talk about you as a person. Let's not talk about the delivery of work.
Yes.
Let me know about you. Because at that, I understand your skills, I understand your strengths, and we capitalize on that. So you got me very excited. You're coming back for another episode.
Yes.
Getting excited and getting teary, maybe I must say. No, thank you so very much, Tadana. I think, on issue of legacy, I must say, when someone is sharing, I've never felt this much touched, about that. And particularly when you touch on the issue of, listening to the spirit of a child. issues of compassion and generosity. And I think many a times leaders, as educators, one may want to start, I want to be a principal, and the motivation there may be different to say, no, I want to earn more and so forth. But, how you shared it, to me says there is something more than what you earn that as a leader you must aspire to. Thank you so very much, and thank you for gracing this episode. We really do appreciate it. In somebody will say, I can't go. Oh, he can't go for Tatana. And we so believe that, viewers out there, it be educators, it be parents, it be anyone in the education fraternity. I so believe, you would have learned a lot, and we are going to carry this with us so that we make education again a societal priority, because it cannot be that we isolate it to a classroom. No. It has to go out there. Everyone has got to play their role so that we better our schools, we hear from our leaders. And Tlhabane, something to share as we conclude?
This is one of the episodes where you sit and ask yourself, am I in the right profession? And I want to say that. Thank you so much, Tlhabane. Thank you for allowing me to go back the memory lane, and I've got a lot of work that I need to do myself to be on the same level as you are. And I just hope the viewers out there, particularly school leaders, you have listened, and you have listened passionately, and you have taken tools of what is it that you need to do differently in order for your school to do even better. We really do appreciate you, and we thank God that the learners in your school have you as the leader. And I know for a fact that they will all come back one day and say thank you.
Yeah.
Right. I really don't know what to say. I don't want to be like Neo and be all teary. I just want to remind you, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, if you have anything else that you'd like to share with us, please send in those comments. Till again, sharp.
Principal's desk, shop.
Thank you.